My twin sister stole my identity to sleep with my boss and take my promotion. When HR called me in, my boss said, "Last night was unexpected." I replied, "I wasn't there." He turned pale. I hit play on a recording and said, "Now tell me again, who were you with?" His hands shook as security entered. "My name's Mara Bennett. I'm 38, live alone in a small but cozy apartment just outside Capitol Hill in Seattle, and I've been with my company, Hawthorne Commercial Properties, for over 10 years. Senior Project Manager. I've helped close deals on buildings that make up half the skyline you see driving down I-5. I worked for everything I've got, which, fine, maybe isn't much compared to some people, but I take pride in it. I'm also divorced. No kids. Just me and my aging schnauzer mix, Captain. And I have a twin sister, Melina. We're identical in the way that makes people do double takes, but once you know us, you realize we're nothing alike." She's always been the wild one. The kind of woman who shows up to a brunch in heels too high and sunglasses too big and orders 2 mimosas before the waiter even finishes saying hello. Me? I show up on time with a reusable water bottle and a cardigan in case it gets chilly. We weren't close growing up. After our parents split, she went with our mom down to Portland, and I stayed in Spokane with Dad. We saw each other on holidays, maybe once or twice during the summer if things didn't get messy with the custody stuff. Then, for years, it was just birthday texts and the occasional drunken phone call at 2 a.m. that I always answered and always regretted. Still, when she told me she was moving to Seattle last spring, looking for a new start, I said she could crash on my couch. What else was I supposed to do? She was my sister. "You're too nice," my coworker Layla told me when I mentioned it at work. "That girl's gonna walk all over you." "I can handle Melina," I said. Famous last words. At first, it was fine. She was charming, and people liked her. She made me laugh in ways I'd forgotten how. And sure, she didn't clean up after herself, and she smoked out the window even though I asked her not to, and she flirted with my mailman, which, who does that? But she was family. She said she was looking for jobs. She'd borrow my blouses, wear my heels. At one point, she asked to borrow my key card for the building so she could feel what it's like to walk into a real office. Said it inspired her. I didn't think much of it. She was my sister. I had no idea what she was planning. So there I am that Friday in the HR office. Tessa, the HR rep, looks like she wants to be anywhere else but in that chair. And across from me, Dale Mercer, my boss, is sitting with this weird, smug look on his face. Dale's about 15 years older than me, tan in the way that says indoor tanning bed, and wears designer watches to compensate for his thinning hair. "Thanks for coming down," Tessa says, avoiding my eyes. "Of course. What's this about?" I sit down, glancing between her and Dale. And then he says it. "Last night was unexpected." I blink. "Sorry." He chuckles. "Hey, listen, I know things were a little intense, but I think it's important we keep personal and professional separate, you know? I have no idea what you're talking about." Dale gives me this sideways look. "You don't have to be shy, Mara. It was just a surprise, that's all." "But hey, what happens between two consenting adults?" "Dale," I interrupt. "I wasn't with you last night." Now it's Tessa who blinks. Dale tilts his head. "What?" "I wasn't with you," I say again more firmly. "I was at home. With Captain. Watching Frasier reruns and eating leftover pho. I haven't seen you outside of work in weeks." There's this long silence. Dale looks confused. Tessa looks panicked. My heart starts beating faster. "What exactly happened last night?" I ask. Tessa shifts. "Mara, Dale informed us that you two had a personal encounter, and that it might be affecting the professional dynamic." "I didn't have any encounters with anyone," I snapped. "Certainly not Dale. And I have no idea what he's talking about." Dale's face goes pale. Like, ghost white. "She came over to my place," he says slowly. "She said she wanted to talk about the lead on the new Capitol Hill development. We had drinks. Well, it was consensual." My stomach turns. The Capitol Hill project was the promotion. The big one. The crown jewel. "She wore the green dress," he adds softer. "The one with the gold buttons. That was my dress. My favorite dress. One Melina borrowed 2 nights ago and said she was talking to the cleaners." I stared at him. "She had my key card," I muttered. "She knew where my files were. My schedule. My passcodes." "What?" Tessa whispered. "I think my sister pretended to be me," I said. "I think she used my identity to sleep with my boss." Dale's voice trembled. "You're saying that wasn't you?" I pulled out my phone and tapped a few times, hands shaking. Then I turned the screen toward them and hit play. A security camera recording. My hallway. Timestamped for 6:47 p.m. the night before. There she was, Melina, walking out of my apartment in my dress, my heels, carrying my handbag. Dale's mouth opened. Then shut. Then it opened again. I didn't know. She acted. You slept with someone pretending to be your employee, I said, standing up. And you were about to promote her. Tessa shot to her feet. I need to get legal on the line. Dale just sat there, staring at nothing. It was like someone detonated a BMB in the middle of my life. But the fallout hadn't even started yet. I left the HR office in a fog, my brain playing everything back on a loop. Melina, my own sister. She didn't just lie. She became me. She studied me. My voice. My walk. My words. That green dress? I'd worn it to 2 work functions. She must have known it was burned into Dale's brain. Every time I thought about it, my stomach turned. I didn't go back to my desk. I just kept walking. Down the stairs, out the side entrance, into the rain, which was now falling sideways thanks to the wind off the sound. I must have looked half-possessed, stomping down 4th Avenue in soaked heels, because a guy at a food truck called out, "Hey, you good?" I wasn't. I got back to my apartment around 1:30. Captain greeted me like he always does, happy, oblivious, tail wagging. I stood in the entryway, dripping all over the floor, staring at the pile of takeout containers on the kitchen island. She hadn't even cleaned up. And she was gone. All her stuff, what little she had, was gone. Her gym bag, her flat iron, the knockoff Louis Vuitton purse she was overly proud of. She'd taken everything. I sat on the couch and just stared at the wall for what felt like hours. Then, like a switch flipped, I grabbed my phone and called her. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. And again. 10 times. Nothing. She was gone. Over the next few days, everything at work blew up. I was told to work from home while we sort through this internally. I was not under review, but I could tell some people still looked at me sideways. Like maybe I was making the whole thing up. Like I was pulling some kind of Gone Girl stunt for attention. Layla called me on Sunday. "Tell me you're okay," she said. "Tell me you didn't. I mean, you didn't sleep with Dale, right?" I closed my eyes. It was Melina. I swear to God, Layla. She stole my dress, my bag, and my ID. She used my keycard. I have footage. I showed HR. A long pause. Jesus. Yeah. Another beat. What the hell is wrong with her? I don't know. Actually, that's a lie. You do. And she was right. I did know. Melina had always been broken in a way I couldn't fix. She never took responsibility for anything. She burned bridges and then acted shocked when people stopped helping her. She was always reinventing herself. New jobs, new hair, new guys. But underneath it all, there was always the same person. Charming, selfish, and hungry for shortcuts. But this wasn't a shortcut. This was identity theft. This was career espionage. This was violating. And worse, Dale still hadn't said a damn word. No apology. No email. No explanation. That told me everything I needed to know. On Tuesday, I finally got a call from Tessa. "We've suspended Dale indefinitely," she said. "Legal's looking into the rest. Is there a police report?" "That's up to you." I sat on the edge of my bed, chewing the inside of my cheek. "You're telling me if I don't press charges, it all gets swept under the rug?" "I'm telling you the company will handle it internally. But if you want to take it further, we'll cooperate." I wanted to scream, to throw something, to shake someone by the shoulders and yell, "She stole my life." Instead, I said, "I'll think about it." That night, I did something I hadn't done in years. I called Brent. Brent Callahan, private investigator. Ex-cop turned freelancer. We met a while back, during my divorce, when I suspected my ex was hiding assets. Brent found the bank accounts, the mistress, and the prepaid apartment in Kirkland. He was blunt, expensive, and completely worth it. He picked up on the 3rd ring. "Mara, it's me. Damn. It's been what, 4 years? Almost 5. You okay?" I hesitated. "No. I need your help." Brent met me the next day at a diner in Ballard, over watery coffee and scrambled eggs. "So," he said, flipping open his notebook, "your sister impersonated you to estuche your boss and espionage your career. How about summing it up?" Basically, he raised an eyebrow. Gotta say, that's a new one. Not the impersonation part, but the whole sleeping with the boss angle. She was trying to get the job. The promotion. You sure it wasn't revenge? I paused. Revenge for what? I don't know. You're the twin she resents. Maybe she thinks you took the life she was supposed to have. I stared at my eggs uneaten. She's jealous, I said quietly. She always has been. I had structure. I had dad. She had chaos. She hated me for being the stable one. Brent leaned back in the booth. You want me to find her? Yes. Are you pressing charges? I looked out the window. Rain again. Of course. I don't know yet. It didn't take him long. Brent's good. Like scary good. Within 5 days, he had her location, San Diego. Renting a one-bedroom under my name using a fake ID that somehow passed basic inspection. Working as a property consultant. And get this, she was using my resume. My credentials. She even had my LinkedIn photo on her new website. The rage I felt when I saw it. I can't even describe it. That's when Brent said, "We bait her. Get her to meet you. Catch her admitting it. Then we have real proof, not just camera footage." I nodded. Set it up. I created a fake identity. Melissa Rogers, a wealthy tech investor looking to expand into real estate. Brent posed as my assistant. We sent Melina an email saying we were impressed with her reputation and wanted to meet. She agreed immediately. Told us to meet her at a coffee shop in La Jolla. 10 a.m. Thursday. She wore sunglasses, a white blazer, and a self-satisfied grin. She looked exactly like me. Like the version of me I might have been if I had less shame and more narcissism. "Melissa," she said, shaking my hand. "So nice to meet you." "You too," I replied, holding back bile. She didn't recognize me at first. I guess she thought she did such a good job becoming me, she forgot what I actually looked like. But when I took off my sunglasses and said, "I gotta admit, it's surreal seeing myself across the table," her whole face changed. Eyes wide. Lips parted. Then, a whisper. "Mara." Bingo. She stood up. This is crazy. "What are you? How did you?" "Sit down," I said calmly. "You and I are going to have a conversation. And you're going to answer some questions. On the record." She looked at Brent. "Who the hell is this?" "Just the guy who's going to make sure you don't lie." I pulled out my phone, set it on the table, and hit record. "You impersonated me," I said. "You used my ID. My name. My face. You slept with Dale Mercer pretending to be me." "Why?" She sat back down. Slowly. The mask cracked. Just a little. "I needed a win," she muttered. "A win." "You don't understand what it's like," she snapped. "Always being the lesser one. The one who struggles. You had everything handed to you." I laughed. Actually laughed. "Handed to me? You mean the college I worked through while you partied in LA? Or the jobs I held down while you maxed out credit cards? That life. You don't know what I've been through," she said. "I know enough," I said. "And I know this, you're going to regret this." Her jaw tightened. "You wouldn't really press charges. You wouldn't put your own sister in jail." I stared at her. "You stopped being my sister the second you decided to steal from me." Melina's eyes darted between me and Brent like she was trying to figure out whether to scream, run, or charm her way out. She chose charm. Of course she did. "Mara." She leaned in, lowering her voice like we were still little girls whispering secrets at night. "Come on. You're not really going to blow up my whole life, are you?" I stared at her. "You mean the life you stole? You think it's that simple?" "Yes," I said flatly. "You used my name, lied to my employer, screwed my boss, espionaged my promotion, and disappeared before anyone could ask questions. What part of that isn't simple?" She folded her arms and slumped back into the seat like a teenager being grounded. "You don't get it," she muttered. "You never have. Try me." "I was trying to fix things," she snapped. "To finally get ahead. I thought if I could prove I was capable of being you, even for one night, maybe it would show I'm not just some loser." I blinked. "You seriously thought becoming me was some sort of shortcut to redemption?" "I was you for one night," she said with a weird, twisted smile. "And everything went right." "You're unbelievable," I said, my voice shaking. Brent was still sitting beside me, calm as ever, arms crossed. His phone had been recording the whole thing. He didn't say a word, he didn't have to. He was just collecting receipts. "You drugged him, didn't you?" I asked suddenly. Melina flinched. "I didn't drug him. He thought he was with me," I said. "He didn't notice anything was off?" She bit her lip. "You were never subtle, Mel. You fidget, you don't know the right wine pairings, you walk faster than I do. Your laugh is louder. There's 100 things." "I was nervous," she said. "But he was drunk and he didn't care. He just wanted someone to tell him he was brilliant and that he still had it. It wasn't hard." I exhaled slowly, letting that disgust sink in. "And the promotion?" I asked. "Was that your endgame?" Melina didn't answer. She just looked out the window, like if she ignored the question long enough, it would disappear. "You really think you could do my job?" "I could have learned." "No, you couldn't have," I said quietly. "Not because you're STPID, but because you don't care about the work. You care about what the title means. You wanted power without the pressure. Status without the sweat." Melina turned back to me. Her eyes looked glassy, but I couldn't tell if it was guilt or just performance. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I shook my head. "No. You're sorry I caught you." Silence. Then Brent finally spoke. Well, he said, clicking off the recording, I think that covers it. Melina's head whipped toward him. What's that supposed to mean? It means we have everything we need. To do what? I stood up. To let the authorities know exactly who stole my identity and used it to commit workplace fraud. Her eyes widened. Mara, don't. Please. Why not? Because I'll lose everything. I laughed. Everything? You mean the job you built on lies? The lease you got with a fake ID? The clients you conned into trusting you with my credentials? Her jaw clenched. You'd really do that to your own sister? No, I said. You did that to yourself. I picked up my bag, nodded to Brent, and turned to leave. That's when she called after me. Mara, wait. I stopped, just for a second. You know what's really funny, she said, her voice cracking. You still think you're better than me. I didn't turn around. I don't think I'm better than you, I said. I just know I'd never do what you did. And with that, I walked out. The next week was chaotic. I forwarded the recording to Tessa. Legal got involved immediately. Turns out, my company had more than enough reason to consider Melina's actions not just fraud, but a serious reputational threat. Dale, who had gone completely radio silent after the initial HR meeting, suddenly resigned without a word. That wasn't enough for me. I went to the police, filed an identity theft report, handed them the footage, the emails, the fake profiles, and the conversation Brent recorded. Detective Jules Santiago took my statement. I'll be honest, she said after reviewing the materials. We don't usually see identity theft cases this personal. She's my twin, I said. Jules raised an eyebrow. That makes it creepier, honestly. I know. Is she still in San Diego? Last I heard. We'll find her. I wanted to believe that. I wanted to believe in justice, in consequences. But something deep down told me that Melina wouldn't stick around to see what came next. She'd vanish again, just like she always did. But this time I had leverage. I had evidence. I had something she couldn't erase. And for once, I was ready to fight back. I didn't go back to work right away. Even after HR cleared me, even after Layla and a few others reached out to say they believed me, I needed space. I needed to remember who I was before Melina invaded my life like a virus. I stayed home, walked Captain, caught up on reading, saw a therapist, first time in years. She asked me, do you feel like this was an attack on your identity? I laughed. She literally stole my identity. But beyond that, she said gently, emotionally, personally, do you feel like she tried to erase you? I nodded. Tears welled up. She's always been the unpredictable one, I said. The chaotic one. I spent years protecting her, making excuses, cleaning up after her messes. And the second she got a chance, she didn't just take advantage. She became me. My therapist scribbled something down. And how does that make you feel? I didn't answer right away. Because I didn't know. I wasn't angry anymore. Not entirely. I wasn't scared either. I think I just felt tired. Tired of being the responsible one. Tired of being the sister who kept it together. Tired of being punished for not being the one who broke the rules. But mostly I felt something else. A flicker of resolve. Like maybe, just maybe, it was time to stop protecting Melina and start protecting myself. Because whatever came next, I wasn't going to let her write the story anymore. 2 weeks passed, and my life stayed paused, somewhere between devastation and whatever was supposed to come after it. I hadn't gone back to the office. Tessa said there was no pressure, that they understood I needed time, but let's be honest, when a scene dal involves SX, power, and near-impossible twin deception, there's no quiet return. Everyone talks. Everyone stares. So I stayed home. Captain and I took long walks through Volunteer Park. I cooked for the first time in ages. I even pulled out the neglected oil paints from my closet and tried to remember what it felt like to be creative without a deadline or deliverable attached to it. But no matter what I did, I kept thinking about Melina. About the ways she had wormed her way so far into my identity that I started questioning it myself. I mean, think about it. If your own sister can copy your voice, your look, your smile, your gestures so well that someone who's worked with you for years can't tell the difference, then who are you really? How much of who you are is just perception? It started to mess with my head. One morning, I stood in front of the mirror for a long time, studying my face, my expressions, how I moved. I recorded myself speaking, compared it to old voicemails Melina had left. I had to know what made me me. I had to find the seams between us again. The lines had blurred too much. Brent called me a few days later. We got her. My heart skipped. What? She's in custody. Picked her up at a bus terminal outside Palm Springs. She had a fake ID again, but her prints flagged the open case. Looks like she was headed east. I sat down on the couch. My knees had started to shake. She's going to be extradited to Washington, Brent continued. And you'll probably be asked to testify. Jesus, I whispered. Hey, he said, his voice softening. You okay? I didn't know how to answer that. Okay? No. But maybe. Steady. Focused. I will be, I said. Eventually. The thing about trauma is that it doesn't follow a schedule. One day I'd feel okay, make it through breakfast without thinking of her, answer a work email, even smile at something dumb Captain did. Next, I'd spiral. Like the time I passed someone in a cafe who had her laugh. I froze in line, nearly dropped my coffee, and had to rush outside to breathe. Or the time I found one of her old earrings wedged in the couch cushions. I held it in my hand for 20 minutes, then flushed it down the toilet like it was cursed. The thing is, grief and betrayal? They feel a lot alike. You mourn the person you thought they were, and you carry this ache for something that never even existed. I started therapy twice a week. I started journaling, writing things I hadn't said out loud. Things like, I'm angry at myself for not seeing it sooner. I'm tired of being the stable one. I don't think I ever want her in my life again. I hate that I missed the version of her I invented in my head. And one night, I wrote, she tried to become me and somehow, I'm the one who feels hollow. That was the one that hit the hardest. Layla visited one Saturday. She brought a bottle of wine and a frozen lasagna, like we were in a Lifetime movie. We sat on my couch, legs tucked under us, while Captain snored at our feet. So what happens now, she asked. I shrugged. She gets arraigned. Then there's the trial. The usual. And are you? Pressing charges. I hesitated. I filed the police report. The DA picked up the case. It's out of my hands now. Do you want her to go to jail? I took a long sip of wine before answering. I want her to understand what she did. I want her to feel something. Regret. Guilt. Anything. Layla nodded slowly. You know she won't. I know. She tilted her head. So why go through all this? Because I need closure, I said. Because if I don't see this through, I'll always wonder if I let her win. A week before the hearing, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost let it go to voicemail. I wish I had. Mara, the voice said when I picked up. It was our mother. I hadn't spoken to her in over a year. We'd had a falling out after she took Melina's side over something small, but, as usual, her loyalty came with conditions and guilt. What do you want? I asked, already regretting answering. I heard about what happened, she said. Of course she did. Somehow she always found a way to know just enough to meddle. She's still your sister, Mom said. You don't really want her to go to prison, do you? I couldn't believe it. My jaw dropped. She destroyed my career, Mom. She made a mistake. No, a mistake is backing into someone's car. This was calculated. She knew what she was doing. She was desperate. She's always desperate. A long pause. She needs help, Mom said. So do I snapped. But no one was bending over backward to save me when my marriage collapsed. No one offered to clean up my mess when I was working 2 jobs just to make rent. And you sure as hell didn't step in when she showed up high on coke and stole my rent money in college. Silence. You always protect her, I said, my voice trembling now. Even when she's wrong. Especially when she's wrong. That's not true. It is, I said. And you know what? I used to resent her for it. But now, I resent you. I ended the call. Blocked the number. Then I sat on the kitchen floor and cried until my throat hurt. When the court summons came, it was real. I sat on my bed that night holding the letter. White paper. Black ink. State of Washington versus Melina Bennett. It felt surreal. She was going to be arraigned. I'd have to face her. Testify. Tell a courtroom full of strangers that my own sister impersonated me, estuchade my boss, and tried to erase my life. I kept telling myself I could do it. That I had to do it. But deep down, I was terrified. Not because of what she might say, but because of what she wouldn't. What if she didn't apologize? What if she didn't even look at me? What if she laughed? What if this whole thing still felt like a game to her? The night before the arraignment, I couldn't sleep. I paced the apartment. Captain followed me like a fuzzy little shadow. At 2:17 a.m., I sat on the floor of my bedroom and opened a manila folder filled with everything Brent had gathered: photos, transcripts, emails, footage, fake social media profiles. A whole archive of the version of me Melina tried to become. And I realized something that took the breath out of me. She didn't want to be me because she loved me. She wanted to be me because she envied me. And envy. That's the cruelest form of admiration. Because it doesn't stop at wanting what you have, it wants to take it away from you. Just so you'll know how it feels to live without it. And maybe, just maybe, Melina had spent her entire life trying to make me suffer for the choices she made. I closed the folder. Tomorrow I'll face her. Not as a sister, Not as a victim, but as a woman reclaiming her name. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Less dramatic. No sweeping marble columns or echoing acoustics. Just beige walls, old wooden pews, and the smell of disinfectant and nerves. I sat behind the prosecutor, hands folded tight in my lap, trying not to make eye contact with anyone. My mouth was dry. My palms were damp. I kept focusing on the tiny scratch on the table in front of me, like if I looked long enough, it would transport me anywhere else. Then the door opened. And there she was. Melina, wearing a county-issued gray top and slacks. No makeup. Hair pulled back. She still looked like me, but less shiny. Less curated. More like the girl I remembered from middle school, the one who always had a plan she swore would work. Her eyes flicked around the room. They landed on me. And for the first time in this entire ordeal, I saw it. Not guilt. Not fear. Regret. Not for what she'd done, but for being caught. The judge began speaking. Legal terms floated past: arraignment, bail hearing, defense motion. Her public defender tried to paint her as a woman in crisis. Someone who'd suffered from identity confusion and economic instability. Someone who blurred personal boundaries out of desperation, not malice. I sat perfectly still. I didn't speak that day. That would come later. But just being in the room? That was enough. She was denied bail. The evidence was overwhelming. My testimony and Brent's recordings were airtight. As they led her out of the courtroom, Melina looked back at me. I didn't flinch. I didn't cry. I just stared back, calm, clear, unmoved. She mouthed something. I couldn't tell what. Maybe sorry, maybe help. But I didn't respond. Not anymore. 3 months later, she took a plea deal. Fraud. Identity theft. Falsification of documents. A few other charges that made the headlines. No prison time, but 18 months probation, 300 hours of community service, a court-mandated restitution payment to me, and mandatory psychological counseling. It wasn't jail, but it was accountability. And for once, someone else was cleaning up her mess. My company never reinstated Dale. A quiet settlement followed. NDA signed. Gone without a trace. HR offered me the promotion again. I said no. Something had shifted. I didn't want the title anymore. I didn't want to walk into that building every day and wonder who was whispering behind my back, or what stain remained on my name. Instead, I took the severance package, cashed out my unused PTO, and with a little nudging from Brent and a lot of late-night soul-searching, I did something bold. I opened my own consultancy, Bennett Property Strategy. Small at first. 1 client, then 3, then 5. I took everything I learned over the past decade and built it into something clean, sharp, and mine. No hand-me-downs. No impersonation. Just honest, good work. Word spread. Referrals came in. Even Tessa sent me a client discreetly. Funny how life shifts when you stop playing defense. One afternoon, maybe 6 months later, I walked out of a client meeting in Pioneer Square and bumped into someone I hadn't seen in years. Melina. She was standing at a bus stop, holding a reusable grocery bag. Hair tied up, no makeup. Her eyes caught mine, and we both froze. She looked smaller. Not in size. In presence. I waited. She approached slowly. No theatrics this time. Hi, she said. Hey. I'm doing community service, she offered. I'm halfway through. I nodded. She shifted awkwardly. I'm clean now. Been clean for 4 months. That's good. I'm trying to get a job. Like a real one. I said nothing. I'm not here to ask for anything. I just thought maybe you should know I'm trying. She looked up at me then, eyes full of something I hadn't seen in years. Humility. Thanks for telling me, I said. And I hope you stay on the path. I will. There was a pause. A soft breeze blew through, tugging at her hair. Do you hate me? She asked. I thought about it. No, I said. But I don't trust you. And I don't think I ever will again. She nodded, like she already knew that. That's fair. I started to walk away. Mara. I turned back. I really did always wish I was you, she said quietly. I didn't respond. I just walked. Not out of anger. Not out of pride. But because for the first time in my life, I didn't need her approval. Now my life is quiet. Balanced. I work from a sunlit loft in Capitol Hill, just a few blocks from where I started. Only now everything inside it is mine. Every certificate on the wall. Every deal closed. Every late-night strategy session earned. I still walk with the captain every morning. I still carry the scars from what happened. But they're not open wounds anymore. They're reminders. That even when someone tries to steal your identity, they can't steal who you are. Not if you know yourself. Not if you fight back. And the best revenge? It wasn't seeing her arrested. It wasn't watching her career implode. It wasn't even the restitution payments that hit my account each month like clockwork. It was standing tall, successful, and whole. While she had to live with being a counterfeit version of something, she could never be me.